とされし者。下等で機械、見慣れた動植物とはまるで違うとおぼしき者たち。それら異形の一群を、人は古くから恐れを含み、いつしか総じて、虫と呼んだ。
In my many years watching anime, I have not encountered anything quite like Mushi-Shi. There are no grand set pieces here, no massive Sakuga-laden showdowns with city-destroying battles or screaming shonen power-ups so often associated with Japanese animation. Folkloric, meandering, tragic, fantastic, and nightmarish, Mushi-Shi treads uncharted ground in the realm of anime. This show is quiet. Mushi-Shi is intimate, introspective, and insidious, more focused on character drama and investigation than grand spectacle. Set against the backdrop of its haunting music and picturesque landscapes, we are privy to the eternal push and pull between man, nature, and the beyond. Representing the spiritual side of this equation and the interface between man and nature are the Mushi. Mushi are born of the world, primordial life at its basest form, but wholly disparate from the kingdoms of plants and animals which they use for food and for reproduction. While mostly invisible to the naked eye, they come in many forms, ranging from supernatural entities to massive sentient trees to colorful mitotic creatures that cause commonplace physical and mental illnesses, weather phenomenon, and natural disasters. They're an amalgam of their Western counterparts, fairy lights and will-o-wisps, and the yokai of Japanese folklore that they seem to have replaced in this universe. Mushi are as varied as they are mysterious, ensnaring and bewitching those unfortunate enough to encounter them. They act as a sort of canary in the coal mine, becoming more active when the balance of man and nature is set askew. In an impossible subliminal space beneath the ground we walk on, beyond normal comprehension, lies a river of light emitted by tiny luminescent mushi along whose banks in the physical world our story is set. The raw energy of life this river emits invigorates the natural world and irresistibly draws both humanity, animals, and mushi to mingle too closely, causing cross-contamination and an upset to the natural order. This is where the eponymous Mushi-Shi, or Mushi Master, steps in. As a mixture of an apothecary, psychologist, spiritualist, and shaman, these nomadic healers are charged with cleaning up the mess whenever a human suffers possession by a Mushi. Armed with herbal poultices and many generations worth of shared research, they act as mediators and balancers between us, the spiritual plane, and the natural world, all of who are just doing what they have to the detriment of the other two. Our leading man and Mushi-Shi in question is Ginko. Empathetic, wry, and enigmatic, we view the spiritual world through his single emerald eye, allowing us to perceive the Mushi in a way that's not possible for the many people they afflict. We follow this easygoing vagabond as he chain smokes and chases rumors through a fictional time period between the Edo and Meiji periods of Japan, kept moving by the Mushi that he is paradoxically cursed to attract if he settles in one place for too long. His sojourns take us through an idyllic vision of terraced gardens, bustling oceanfront fishing villages, snow-crested mountains, and the serenity of ancient, impenetrable greenery. Mushi-Shi as a show is more concerned with lush stills and convincing naturalistic dialogue than extensive animation, although the show does have some gorgeous sequences. Road tripping through the countryside with Ginko was a perfect comfort watch in the age of COVID lockdowns, sunlight-deprived living rooms, and forced social isolation. Presented as a loosely ordered anthology, most episodes of the series focus on a standalone vignette regarding a particular case of Mushi possession. These possessions follow a sort of monster of the week or medical drama structure, with a cursory glimpse of the ailment, Ginko's intervention, and the sometimes dire consequences for the decisions that were made. The Mushi's interactions with the human world range from asymptomatic to mildly annoying to life-destroying, world-ending calamity given form. Largely unthinking, most Mushi, with rare exception, are indifferent to the human joy or suffering that they may cause, so long as it serves their reproductive or homeostatic function. Parasitic in nature, these spirits are only able to exist as a dependent of the plants and animals of the world. There are Mushi that replace unborn fetuses, eat people, supplant the mind, and raise the dead as hollow husks, just as a byproduct of simply existing. Still others create pandemics, cause entire villages to begin birthing recently deceased relatives, and trap humans in a hollow state of limbo. Others give you head colds. The element that keeps this repetitive format interesting is that Ginko is not infallible, and some cases are never resolved amenably. Some ailments caused by Mushi possession more or less fix themselves given enough time, but some Mushi leave their bearer forever changed, crippled, or worse than dead. Ginko is collected, knowledgeable, and capable, but sometimes the inability of the Mushi to depart peacefully is a result of the actions of the afflicted or their families. In these cases, it isn't up to Ginko to make the determination about treatment. The loved ones of those enthralled by the Mushi are presented with ethical and philosophical quandaries where there are no correct answers, leaving us as the audience to chew on what we may have done in the same situation. Mushi-Shi is a piece of media that's not afraid to leave you dissatisfied with an outcome, often ending your evening watch session early after a particularly bitter ending to an episode sends you into a pensive funk. Horrible and disruptive as they are, Mushi are not evil, they just are. Like any virus or bacteria, morals are not a part of their awareness. This is a trait that we humans and what we would call wisdom attribute to them. We're just like them in that way. Our existence is devastating to the world of the Mushi as we rob the natural world of its resources to survive, reducing the availability of native flora and fauna for the Mushi and causing them to enter increasingly human spaces. Ginko is unique among his Mushi-Shi contemporaries, trying not to destroy the Mushi unless he has to, his goal being to maintain a delicate coexistence between us, the base and highest forms of life. This echoes a philosophy he inherited from his own master.
無視しだったんだろ？こんな恐ろしい虫どうして生かしておくんだよ。
恐れや怒りに目をくらまされるな。皆ただそれぞれがあるようにあるだけ。逃れられるものからは知恵ある我々が逃れればいい。
For all this heavy subject matter, this is not to say that Mushi-Shi is depressing to watch or overly sadistic in its presentation of the narrative. It's genuinely relaxing, peaceful, and contemplative despite the nightmarish circumstances depicted within. The audience, through the eyes of Ginko, serves as the objective third-party observer to the events that unfold, and our goals align with his. This is a story about balance and the catastrophic consequences of not maintaining it. In this world, humanity oversteps and nature quickly retaliates, with mudslides, plagues, and tsunamis effortlessly wiping away all traces of human civilization from the face of the earth. Hard times cause humans to forsake the guardian spirits of their mountain homes, and the mountain in turn forsakes the community nestled upon it, the land promising nothing and keeping its promise. The spiritual, natural, and human in a perpetual cycle of need, all being harmed, and all reciprocating to each other. Ginko is there through the turmoil to reset everything back to equilibrium in the end, and it's in that uneasy new normal where Mushi-Shi really grabs you. Every episode ends on an ambiguous or hopeful note, with the only tautology being that things will change and that nothing will ever be the same again. Time marches on, and nature and civilization renew themselves continually, constantly aggressing against each other. Those forever affected by the Mushi will find their new normal, and the cycle will repeat. The message of Mushi-Shi is that for all nature's cruelty, it is only by her grace that we are able to be. The bounty that she provides far outstrips the price that must be paid, and in mankind's greed we grab and pull until nature violently snaps back. Mushi-Shi gives us a glimpse of what we so rarely see in our society: respect for nature and someone who will heed her warnings.
山の声に届かぬものになる。そんなものがあっていいのか。
外れはしない。決して。人も山の一部に過ぎないのだから。
It's a comfort, a reminder that humanity has a seat at the table at nature's banquet. We always have and always will. Despite the show's sub-themes of humanity versus the wilds, we are not separate from the world of nature or spirituality just because of an overdeveloped prefrontal cortex. Innumerable generations, unknowable numbers of natural cycles of birth and death and rebirth have led to this moment to you. And it's comforting in a way to know that the cycle will not end. Mushi-Shi posits that nothing ever dies, only changes, and that long after we're gone, the subtle impressions we make on those we leave behind will continue to move the needle in our stead. Mushi, for all their supernatural powers and pervasive presence, are the easier side of the equation to balance out. Most of the time when Ginko's treatment fails and the Mushi cannot peacefully depart, it is the fault of flawed humanity. The rotating secondary cast afflicted by Mushi possession are illustrative of us all. They're naive, short-sighted, imperfect, greedy, and violent. It is very often the trauma inflicted on us by our fellow humans that makes us susceptible to the Mushi's influence in the first place. For all that the Mushi can do to us as nature's messengers, humanity is equally terrifying.
無駄だ。
どうして殺すの？
お前らが人の子を食うからだ。
僕らは悪くない。
俺らも悪かない。だが、俺たちの方が強い。
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please press the appropriate buttons to let me know and maybe suggest something else you'd like to hear my opinion on in the comments below. Thank you for being in cahoots with me, and I'll see you next time.